All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be the latest addition into the series, Know Who You're Living With. And the reason why I like this series so much is because, as I always tell you, brothers, you do not know someone unless you're dwelling with them in the same abode, not even necessarily for an elongated period of time. Even just 4 or 5 days, you can start to get the sense of what this person is actually about. You can date a bitch for years, but living with her for days will tell you and teach you a lot more about them. And another thing, this is a mistake that many people make many times, unfortunately. They try to jump into relationships when they're not mentally or spiritually ready to do so. We have to stop expecting things from the woman that she does not expect from herself. That's why you have to take your time with these women. Floyd Mayweather recently on his Instagram quoted your boy, quoted me. He said many times we take women more seriously than they take themselves. Or I should say he quoted me saying that. It's very obvious that he's on my channel, at least on my YouTube channel. So shouts out to Floyd Mayweather. It's the absolute truth. We spend too much time, and a lot of it's generational. We put these females on a pedestal. All the woman is a child with breasts. That's all she is. And many times I'll have dudes who've been on my channel for years trying to go back and forth with me. Why is that? Because their simp programming is kicking in. It's very difficult for a simp to be rehabbed. He might search out some level of understanding, but he's always going to have this relapse where he wants to bicker and argue because he can't move past the fact that he took a female seriously who was not supposed to be taken seriously, or he quote unquote treated her well and she shitted on him. It's not the woman's fault. A lot of cats don't like hearing that. It's not their fault. It's actually men's fault. It's our fault. Why is that? Because we're supposed to create the parameters for the woman to operate and exist in. Just like a baby. You don't have a baby walking all around your apartment or your home unsupervised. You put them in a crib or in a playpen, right? Same thing with the woman. It might sound quote unquote misogynistic or chauvinistic. It's just the truth. A woman could be with a great man, but if she sees that he does not agree with her pertaining to one of her ideologies or political leanings, she's going to start to become more detached and search out a man who she believes is going to be more agreeable to her nonsensical ideologies. Once again, even if she knows the first man is the better man, she's going to do so just to cause chaos. Women get a charge out of creating chaos in your life. You have to grasp this. This is Babylon. This is the land of confusion. So when you decide to initiate a relationship with a woman or allow a woman to initiate a relationship with you, it's only a matter of time until her chaos factor comes out, and it will. Women have a very difficult time controlling their emotions, particularly their temper, their anger. Many of these females have anger management problems, and it leads to the dissolution of their relationships. There are many 35, 38, 40, 41-year-old women today who look back and say, damn, I had Reggie. Reggie was a good man. He treated me well. And they might be even too embarrassed to try to text or call him because they don't want to go through the rigmarole of asking what his relationship situation is or even admitting that they were wrong. But within their heart, they know that they were wrong. But once again, it always goes back to the man because the man is the head. I understand the frustration with the modern day female. I get it. But at the end of the day, that's one of the conditions of the battle, because the so-called black man has decided that he's not going to adhere to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. The Most High has allowed the woman to exalt herself over the man. And we see that throughout the scriptures, particularly in Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. The woman is placed in a prominent position because the men of the Most High, meaning the so-called black man, the quote-unquote aboriginal man, the so-called man of color here in the Western Hemisphere, refuses to humble himself to the Most High. We refuse to have a codified understanding of how we're going to treat one another and how we're going to rule over our society and over our community. So the Lord has said, no problem. I'm going to release this chaos factor known as the liberal empowered woman. And that brings us to this cat right here, Mr. Claude Spalding, who clearly has not moved past certain issues that have transpired in his life. And we're going to see this rear its ugly head over the course of this segment. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Plaintiff Claude Spalding started dating the defendant after they met at the grocery store. But he claims the defendant became abusive. and she was locked up for assaulting him.
The defendant did not become abusive. She was always abusive. She just needed this cat for something during a pivotal moment in her life. Brothers, please grasp this. The woman is an opportunist by nature. 99% of relationships are for her convenience. If a woman is not divorcing the man, very rarely is it due to a certain level of loyalty. It's because she needs that man for a particular reason, even if it's just for her own comfort. But the woman's concept of loyalty is different from a man's concept of loyalty. Am I saying that there are no loyal women? Absolutely not. There are good, loyal women out there. But when it comes to their understanding of certain concepts, it's just different. And we have to accept that. Stop looking at the woman like she thinks on the level of how a man is supposed to think. We should spend more time trying to understand why there are so many males who are trying to masquerade as men. If you cannot teach, then you're not quite a man yet. You have to get to the point where you can teach or inform. Every teacher is not going to be on the same level, but at the very least, you have to have the ability to inform your woman and your children. That's how they're going to look to you, as a vessel of knowledge, as someone to be held in high esteem. I had some sim dude trying to argue with me the other day in some comment section on YouTube, talking about how come you only say, hey brothers? How come you don't say, hey brothers and sisters? What that is symptomatic of the total deculturalization of the so-called black man. That you would ask me that question and get upset about that. He doesn't even want the respect of being the person that society turns to for some level of communication or mutual understanding, diplomacy or what have you. He wants to have his woman by his side because supposedly she's equal to him. No successful society views that. The woman has characteristics and attributes that men don't have. That's what makes them essential. Not because she's quote unquote equal to the man. In the same way, the man is not equal to the woman, but the man is the head. And I'll probably start a series on this just so that, I can place some of these statements in context and help people understand why other cultures have the man as the head. This is something that goes back to the ancient world. The woman is not supposed to be the head of anything when it comes to presiding over the masses of the people. She's not supposed to be the standard bearer. Women by nature have no sense of real morality, no disrespect to them. That's why they're not involved in the creation of codified laws. Almost every time that you see a female senator or someone in the House of Representatives draft up a bill, it's because some liberal man or some conservative diplomat or representative, senator, what have you, put a battery in their back.
Claude suing his ex today for unpaid loans. Defendant Angel Plummer says Claude was controlling and insecure, and he was the one who physically and verbally abused her.
This chick looked batshit crazy. Now, brothers, did you pay attention to all her gesticulations and her eye movements? You can tell she's batshit crazy.
Countersuing for emotional distress.
Start with you.
First met her at the grocery store.
When?
I first met her in the grocery store.
When?
Back in October 17.
It was
Okay.
November, Your Honor.
What aisle?
That's right.
Chemical, aerosols.
Yeah, because the broad is toxic.
Spraying aerosols, smelling them.
Go ahead.
I was laughing. She asked me what I was laughing at. I said, you spraying the chemical. I said, you know all the chemicals in that stuff? And she said, no. I said, you don't want to be smelling all that. So we started talking, and she got a call. Long story short, I waited. Finished talk.
Yeah, you waited because you wanted to get that phone number. A lot of these guys, they just be so happy to get a positive response, especially from the modern day so-called black woman. They're like, damn, I might not get this opportunity again.
He said, asked for my number. I gave him a number. She called me back about.
She asked for your number.
Yeah. I asked for her number, whatever. She said, well, you can give me your number.
I know whatever. That's too.
Yeah, that's not a whatever. If you're already telling a lie about that, you might lie about things later on in the case.
Things.
Well, I might have asked for her number.
There you go.
Okay. And
I need to hear who hitting on who. Because that's what
Thank you.
it's going to come down to. You know I know that. Go ahead.
yes, sir.
So don't give me the overlay.
So gave him the number. She called me back. No, she didn't call me. She texted me a couple times. And I would respond back to the text with no answer. So after a couple of times doing that, I got a call from her in November, first week of November. She was coming in from the airport at nighttime, I guess about 12, 11:30, 12. I'm in bed. She told me she needed to arrive from the airport.
That should have been your first hint that she was just going to be using you for your resources, bro. No disrespect. But she clearly is younger than you. Probably at least 15 to 20 years younger than you. So a lot of these chicks, they want to try to use older men. And as I've stated in other videos, if it's a mutual agreement, there's nothing wrong with that. The man is actually supposed to be the provider. That's the main reason why the woman has always stayed with the man. All the way from antiquity. The reason why marriage worked is because the man was the provider. The woman was the cultivator of the home. So as long as you have the money, that's what matters. Now, what makes you a simp is if you're trying to apply resources to the woman that you don't have with no understanding whatsoever. But just getting back to the point, the fact that the first time that she called him, she needed something, that's a red flag.
What happened? Well, my ride had an accident or something. Couldn't come get her. I said, okay. So I got up out of bed, got dressed, went on to the airport. She was feeling kind of down.
She was broke. That was her way of saying, I don't have money for an Uber. Once again, she was after your resources, not after you. If you have the money to maintain that, and you have the understanding of what the convention of that relationship is, no problem. But never allow you being used for your resources to be mistaken for there's a real emotional connection or spiritual or psychological connection here. And that's what happens with cats like this. They get a little attention from a younger chick and they just get sprung.
Been down in Florida, seen our ex. Hurt. We talked for a good while. Took her back, got some gas, took her back home to her place. And when we sit there and talk, it was late, about in the morning, about 3:34. We talked, stayed up the rest of the night, talked, went home, got some sleep. Came back later on, we spent the rest of that Thursday, Friday, about 3 or 4 days together.
So you gave us some of that old man ride, what you saying?
Weekend. And head off pretty nice.
You mean the coochie was pretty nice?
Anyway, eventually we started talking down the line, but she was seeing, just saw her ex. She was seeing somebody else, another guy up here. And,
How did you know all that?
She told me.
Okay. That she dealing with two guys at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Whoa.
Yes.
She's trying to act flabbergasted. She said, whoa, give me a fucking break. This bro's out here dealing with 4 or 5 different guys depending on their station in life and what they're after. Once again, brothers, never take the woman more seriously than she takes her fucking self. That's another red flag, or should have been, to the plaintiff, to not take her seriously. He already knew that she was dealing with her ex, another dude, or another side dude per se in her area, as well as him. You can't get mad when you order a pizza pie and you open the box and there's only 2 slices left when you know that there's other dudes in the house.
And what did that lead to?
Eventually, she said, well, I'm going to leave this guy alone. We started talking. We started seeing each other. So she left this guy alone. She said, I don't see him that often. He just comes pick her up.
How did it go when you started seeing her? How was the relationship? You tell me.
Now, Mathis just asked the plaintiff how the relationship went. And of course, the plaintiff started to flounder because he probably just realized, sometimes it hits people in real time, that the relationship wasn't shit. So he's searching for words to make it more palatable for the judge and for the viewing audience, just to be able to ingest exactly what the relationship was about. Brothers, you have to accept the standard and the modality, the level, the wavelength, whatever term you want to use, of the relationship that you're in, and accept it for what it is, especially if you know that the broad gets around. If you know that the broad is getting around, you have to ask yourself, okay, what is it that she wants from me? You can't just throw your name in a hat and say, I'm going to beat out these other 2 dudes for this broad. She's already used up. If you and 3 other guys are sharing a car, that car is never going to be brand new. It's always going to have a lot of mileage on it. So that means that when you need it the most, it's going to stall out on you. It's just what it is, man. So if you want to have that fresh feeling, you got to deal with a fresh bitch. And especially in this modern day time period with the smartphones and the internet apps and the social media, the vast majority of these bitches are community property. They just are. If it's not a colleague at work, it's some dude on the gram. If it's not some dude on the gram, it's some nigga on Tinder. It's always going to be something. So you do have to make sure that you approach your interactions with these women with the appropriate mindset and with your scruples. You know, you have to be scrupulous about these things. And if a woman starts to, show you that she's not on the up and up, you have to be ready to cut her off. And that's the best form of power that you can manifest to the woman. That you can and will cut her off with no compunctions, no hesitation. And 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, that's going to get her to humble herself because it's going to be different. She's so accustomed, for the most part. Most of these women are so accustomed to men begging them. So when you go the opposite route and you show her that she's not necessary in your life, especially when you have so much to offer and so many great qualities about yourself, a lot of times that's the bucket of ice water in her face that she needs. Once again, the woman feeds off of chaos. They love feeling like they broke some dude down and left him in a pile of ashes on their way out. You cannot let yourself be one of those people.
Okay. The relationship was cool at first. Like, we would hang out, we have...
Aren't all relationships cool at first? The difference is, how do things go once each of you see the bad side, quote unquote bad side of the other? And that is such a major hurdle for the woman. And I've mentioned this in other videos. The woman wants to see how you respond to her bitch side. Because she needs to know that she can be a bitch around you and you can deal with that or you can tolerate that. She needs to know that because all these women have a bitch side. So it's just a matter of how flagrant is it?
Then he would start to, he became insecure, he became controlling and manipulative.
And if that's correct, if what she's saying is correct, that he became insecure and controlling and manipulative, allegedly, if that's correct, then that's on him, it's not on her, because he already knew that she was fucking with the ex and that she had a side dude. So why would you be insecure about shit that you already knew about? Just play your position. If you're an older dude just looking for a chance at some pussy and you got some money to burn, it is what it is.
I have coworkers that I work with and we would go out to have drinks or something after work.
That male friend shit, that male coworker shit. You know how many rods get polished at happy hour on Fridays? You know how many pussies get popped in the back seats of cars at happy hour on Fridays? Like, come on, man.
He would ridicule me, call me names, talk about me. Like,
did he mention the men he suspected you of?
He always thought that I was sleeping with someone from work. That's just how his mind worked.
So you weren't seeing anybody at the same time?
No, never.
Lies. That bitch was fucking other dudes. It's just that he was not intrepid enough. Like many of these broads, they have all these apps they can hack into people's phones. That wasn't his thing. So his mind still works from the 1980s. He's just accusing a bitch. Bitch, I know you fucking him. Nowadays, broads are hacking into phones. They're hacking into social media pages and having people hacking the emails. He wasn't doing that. All he was suspicious. And he had the right to be suspicious. But he did not have the right to be insecure because, once again, he already knew what she was about. That's the difference. If you get to the point where a person is making you unhappy or more unhappy than you are happy, you're in control of that. You have to send that person on their way or let them go. A lot of times people will remove themselves out of your life because you're not doing what you're supposed to do and taking proper inventory of your own life. So the Lord will have them remove themselves.
He and I were, exclusive.
So he was trying to control all the things everything. You did.
So when things went left,
Brothers, let me say this. One of the ways in which they try to demonize men today is to claim that men are controlling. Men are supposed to be in control. That's not an insult to be a controlling man. You're supposed to be in control. The vast majority of women want to be told what to do. Even when they're successful, the vast majority of them, they want to be told what to do because women know that they're bugged out and crazy. The vast majority of them, they know that shit already. So if she allegedly had a problem with him being controlling, it really was that she had a problem with him not knowing his place. Her attitude is, oh man, I'm giving you some pussy already. Let me go out here and get some young dick also. I'm still going to bring this pussy home to you after I'm cleaned up. That's the reality of the situation. So he had to accept that, or he should have just cut her off.
He started to act out irrationally where we stayed at because I moved in with him for a certain period of time.
Yeah, because you was a broke bitch. You was looking for this dude to help house you. Once again, the first time that she communicated with him and called him out the blue, she needed something. Brothers, if the first time you're going back and forth with a chick and the first time that she called you is for you to help her pay a bill, that's a major red flag, man. But that's a great thing because she's letting you know that she's just using you for your, for your revenue. If you have it to burn, hey, you have it to burn. Brothers, the vast majority of these chicks have a prostitute mindset. They might not be outright prostitutes per se, but they do have a pseudo-prostitute mindset. There's very little difference. I mean, if we're just going to be particular, between dating abroad and dealing with a straight-up hoe. The only difference is that, a lot of times the hoes, they might be a little funky, a little dirtier. They don't have as smooth a facade. But these average females out here, they've been with 20, 30 dudes, by the time they're 30 years old. Many of them have. They've had all these wild escapades at the club, at the bar, at the lounge, dealing with colleagues at work. In a real life situation, in a real society, a woman is only supposed to be with one man in her life. That's why in other cultures, the marriage convention is different because the woman is shamed for separating from her man. In the quote-unquote Western relationship paradigm, the woman is actually applauded for separating from her man. So that's why, once again, you have to examine whether or not marriage, quote-unquote, is something that you want to partake in. I mean, hell, you might even have to examine if, quote-unquote, relationships is something that you want to partake in at the end of the day. Because after you sign that marriage contract with the woman or you impregnate her, the chances of her leaving skyrocket. Because those are two major steps that she wants to ascend up. And once she's gotten you to accept that you're her vassal, i.e. her quote-unquote husband, and also that you're her seed provider, i.e. the father of the child, what else does she really need from you? For the most part, that she can't get in a separation. Once she separates, she can still get you for alimony, child support. She can call you up and say you need to talk to these kids. And she can go run the street and get some random dick. So you're basically at the mercy of the woman and whatever her level of morality is. And for the vast majority of these females, their level of morality is low. But once again, whose fault is that? It's the men, because the men have not set up a code for the woman to be held accountable. So whoever the most influential and powerful nation is at the time, whoever's in rulership, they're the ones who are supposed to be presiding over the woman and setting standards and boundaries. Who are the standard bearers? Who are the standard creators in this society? It's not that difficult to figure out when you look at who controls the media, who controls the TV, who controls the money, right? Who controls the banks.
He started to break things, like picking things up, breaking them, throwing stuff around, moving things in and out of the house.
Yes, that's a 50-year-old black man who's very frustrated with previous relationships and his inability to control the relationship. Not necessarily the woman, but the relationship. 50-year-old black man who probably feels like he's done a lot of good things for women and been shitted on. And you know what that means? He needs to just chill out. Cats like him, like the plaintiff, he needs to go find him, honestly, he needs to go find him a woman of another race who's been raised up to venerate the male figure in the home. Some of these cats get to a certain age where they need to seek out some level of happiness. Because the woman in Western society, not even necessarily talking about just the so-called black woman, just the woman in the Western society, period, they're not really adequate wives anymore. Are there exceptions to the rule? Absolutely. But they're very few and far between. And for people who are frustrated, like the plaintiff seems to be, I think that an alternative for him would be to search out a woman from another culture, or from a culture, period, where he can get the respect that he feels like he deserves. Some dudes just want to sit in their lazy boy chair and read the newspaper and smoke a cigar and watch the news or watch TV, and be able to call their wife from the kitchen and get their rod sucked, and then she can go back in the kitchen and he go back to reading his newspaper. With these modern day females today, they want to sit next to you on the couch, or they want to take the lazy boy chair for themselves and argue with you over the remote and all that other stupid shit. So, once again, it's obvious to me that the plaintiff has a lot of baggage that he has not unpacked. And it is what it is. That's part of the human experience. But if that's a condition that you're experiencing, don't move a random bitch into your house. Stop sponsoring these broads if you know that you still have things to unpack. And stop putting them on a fucking pedestal, expecting them to be great people. Women in general are not great people. Women in general aren't good people at all. They're too self-centered. Are there good people that happen to be women? Sure. But the vast majority of women are not good people. They do everything for their own gratification. It's just their nature.
Screaming, hollering, drinking all the time, heavily, every day.
Okay.
Every day. He put me in like a scary space. I would fear for.
How long did you stay with him?
3 months.
Okay.
3 months. These two lived together. How long did it take for you to move into his place after that first time that you called him because you needed a ride from the airport? Once again, it's very obvious this chick was down on her luck. She was only trying to shack up with this dude until she got on her feet, and then she was going to dead him and say, you know what? I think that it's best that we be friends. I appreciate what you did. Thank you so much. But she wanted a younger guy. So his job, while she was staying with him, was to get as much pussy as possible. That's it. That's the job. Get as much pussy as possible. And he should have had side chicks also. If he got money like that in a place like that. Brothers, that's what life is about, man. Life is about accumulating knowledge, wisdom, and money as a man, so that you can spend it on the things that you enjoy. It's not about, to use a Jada Pinkett phrase, getting entangled with these broads that you're sponsoring. That's a car that you rented. That's all that shit is. That's nothing permanent. The vast majority of these people that you have relationships with, whether it be male or female, friend or lover or what have you, it's only going to be a rental. It's not going to be for life. So get the enjoyment out of it that you mean to get. Treat them according to their conduct. And when it's time to send them on their way, send them on their fucking way.
3 months. And then he kicked me, literally kicked me out of the house where we were staying at. So after that,
He's tired of your bullshit.
I don't want to be around anybody that's going to try to harm me or make me feel less of myself.
Right, but what were you doing to get the man that angry? I mean, come on, you talking about how the man kicked you in your ass to get you out of his house. How did it get to that point? What was he suspecting you of?
Okay, and you all spoken since then?
Yeah, we spoke because I had things at his place that needed to be moved into storage. He moved them because I didn't want to bring anybody around to do any of that.
You moved them?
He moved them, and then...
You heard that, brothers? She said he moved them because she did not want to bring anybody around. In other words, she didn't want to bring her other male friend, quote-unquote male friend, in to help her move the stuff because that would have blew her cover. She knows that the plaintiff would have put two and two together and said, this is the other guy that she's fucking.
End of the time that I was going to talk to him.
Okay. Do you want to say anything about being abusive? She says you were physically and mentally abusive.
Yes, sir, I do. She said she wasn't dealing with somebody at the same time. She was dealing with ex-husband.
Got it. She says no. Now let's...
Again, brother, that's your fault, though. You know the chick is dealing with all these other guys. Why are you trying to compete with them for? If you have the money to allow her to stay in your place and all that other shit, just get the pussy you're supposed to get. keep track of the records, make her sign a document stating that she has to reimburse you. Once again, she's living in your place, so you have prime access to the coochie. When it's time for her to go, make her reimburse you. Goodbye. That's the Floyd Mayweather stuff. That's what he does.
To the abuse that she's talking about.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to defend yourself
Yes,
against
sir.
it or not?
I do. As far as being abusive, abusiveness came from her. In fact, she called the police on me. They locked her up.
Is that true, ma'am?
He went off 2 days before then I went off the 2 days after.
Okay.
When I went off, I was honest with the police, let them know I was arrested. But
Right, but when you quote unquote went off 2 days later, obviously he's the one who called the police on you. Brothers, that's the worst situation in the world, to be dwelling at home, which is supposed to be a place of peace, an enclave of placidity, and you feel that uncomfortable and that threatened in your own home that you have to call the cops. So it's obvious that their situation got extremely toxic. And again, I'm not blaming her, I'm blaming him. He knew all this shit about her before he moved her into his place. So you thought, what? Oh, I'm doing nice things for you, that's going to make you love me? Brothers, doing nice things for women is not going to make them love you. Treating a woman well, for the most part, is not even going to make them, quote unquote, love you. Love is something that, it's something that's either going to happen or it's not. You can't force it by doing good things for people. Most people don't respect the good things that's done for them. That's why when you do good things for people, you have to do it because the Most High is watching, not because you expect thankfulness or gratefulness from a person. Most of these people have terrible karma. So the good things that you do, leave it alone and let them go out there into the world and receive the energy that they deserve to receive for their actions and for their thoughts and for their deeds.
He wasn't?
I know he wasn't arrested.
Why do you think?
Because he played like he was hurting. Like he was like, oh, my knee.
They took you to jail.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, sir. Tell me about the loans.
No, sir, that's not true.
Come on, you don't have to. We're not going into that, sir.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
get into the loans.
All right, the
This
loan
is
was-
nonsense.
the loan
She
I-
act like you beat her every day until you told me she went to jail. Now suddenly
He did.
she was
He
attacking
did.
you, and they didn't take you because your knee hurt. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. The loan was, the first loan was actually $2,600,
When?
January 30th, 2018.
18.
It wasn't January.
Tell me how that came
Right.
about. What was the purpose? She came to you and said, I need
No,
$2,600.
we was dealing with each other then.
Uh-huh.
We was at that place, going back and forth from my place. And she told me, like she said, about January 28th, she said about, well, the military paid her rent and paid for her to go to school. The military had not sent her no money.
Oh no, that's why. That's the ticket. Ding. Now we see why she's such a thotty. She's a military broad. The military broad, they're the biggest jump offs on the planet. That's the only reason why I mentioned this a very long time ago in the video that I did years ago. The only reason why the military has allowed women to join the ranks is so that they can be slide offs for the male soldiers. That's it. They're just sperm receptacles. That's their main role in the military. To lower the level of rapes that were occurring overseas when soldiers would get deployed into these foreign lands. Now you don't have to rape the women, the indigenous women or the indigenous girls there. Now you have these little slide off, for lack of a better term, army hoes to skeet up in.
She said I hadn't got my money yet, and my rent is due. The office had sent a note to the office to pay her rent. If the rent wasn't paid by a certain time, she was getting evicted. So I said, are you sure the money's going to come in February for your rent? And she said, yeah, I've been saying it every month. So I said, okay, I'll get the money for you. So I got the money. Got the money ordered and everything, brought it back, let her down, pay the rent. And
It was $2,600
that was $2,600, $2,700 money order and everything.
for 1 month rent?
No,
Two.
no, sir.
Okay.
It was more than 1 month rent
Got it. When did she say she would repay you?
in February.
Okay, and has she paid you anything?
No, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
I have.
Let me get to you now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when he gave me that money, there was no, I told him I would pay him at the end of that month. It was February that it happened. I was waiting for March to come, and I had got hired at a company that I now work at. And then I was still waiting for.
Once again, Throughout their relationship, she did not have a job. She was using the brother for money. He should have seen the writing on the wall from the very start that this person was going to exit stage left once she was able to make her own money. That's just how these females operate. That's what the feminist movement was always about from the beginning. We empower the woman. That's one of the main ways in which we destroy the quote-unquote nuclear family.
Funds to come in when...
That's a core tenet of Marxism, by the way. As I've stated for many years, Marxism has been a major component of American society for years. It's just that they're ratcheting it up now.
That didn't happen. I had to move in with him. That's where that space and time came from March to June. So I've paid him money, not the full amount. I think believes total $800.
What do you want to tell me about the 800?
She didn't pay me $800, sir. She paid for storage. She tried to get a storage place to put her stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
And the storage money that she paid me was for storing her stuff up. For the storing her stuff
You
up.
have evidence of that?
And I gave her receipts for the month she paid me.
He gave me receipts and then ripped them up.
No,
Okay.
That's what
do
he
you have
did.
the receipts?
No, he threw them in the trash and
Do
threw
you
off
have the
my stuff.
receipts?
No, sir.
You say you had receipts.
I have receipts for the rent money. The rent I paid her. She said she paid me the money.
Let's see it, please. So you're saying these are the receipts that you use to loan her the money, but it doesn't add up to $3,000.
No, sir. That's 20. That's 26, 27 with the receipts and the money orders and everything. But 2700.
Right.
Okay.
Where's the balance?
The balance is clothing. Clothing. Her daughter's birthday. Everything she bought. Everything.
When did
Shoes.
she say she would repay you those
I'll
things?
pay you the money as soon as I get money back. I'll pay you back
Okay.
everything you buy me. I need this. I need that. So and so and so.
Right, but did you get her to sign a contract, bro? Everything that you do for these females, if you're going to require the money back, you better make them sign shit. And not just for the woman, for these dudes too. People in general are dishonorable. That's why you have contracts in the first place. But just getting back to the point that I was making. All of these quote-unquote movements, they were all based in Marxism/communism. The civil rights movement, the homosexual movement, the feminist movement. And it was to fracture a lot of the old standards of society. And that's why people are so unhappy now. That's why the use of antidepressants has skyrocketed, because people need to be placed in an orderly fashion into society so that they know what they're supposed to do and why.
Ma'am, you have any proof that you paid?
No.
This broad has no she has no type of structure or orderliness about her. She has no proof. I mean, come on. She's totally disorganized.
800.
I don't have any proof.
When did you pay him?
I paid him
And pussy payments.
in June.
All right, where were you all at?
We were in his house. I got a check. I got a check for $900 from the IRS, but I gave him $500 of that. Because I was supposed to get more.
I got that, 500.
Brothers, once again, you'll notice most of these relationships, when they dissolve, what is the conversation normally about? It's about money. That's why we have to be financially educated. We have to be monetarily motivated. You know, we just have to be. The most important level of knowledge, of course, is the fourth dimensional knowledge, with us being conduits of the Most High and His Word in the third dimension. Right? We have to meditate on scriptures and on history and things of that nature. Right behind that, in the fleshly sense, is our understanding of how to make money. That's why you should not start a relationship with a woman until you have a steady income coming in. I promise you, the woman will respect you more when you tell her no and you're handling your business. You're going to be in situations in life where your relationship with a woman might fail because you're so focused on climbing that economic ladder. I promise you, she'll be back or try to come back, and it's going to be up to you if you want to take her back because of her lack of loyalty. Because if someone quits on you once, they'll quit on you again. So that's up to you to figure out if you want to take a broad back. But it's so important, you have to grasp, when the woman is in the early throes of a relationship, everything's about love. But when all that bullshit wears off, and I put love in quotes because it's not really love, it's that in love bullshit. But when it wears off, the conversation is totally going to be about money.
The $300 came from when he told me he was moving my things. I gave him that.
Okay. On site, you handed him $300?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And
This bitch never gave him $3. Now, give me a break. She said, yeah.
the other $5, you handed him that in cash too?
Yeah, cash.
Okay. And both times you were at his house?
Yes. To pick up some mail. He said he had some mail for me there, so I went to go pick some up mail.
This bro lying.
Over there to bring him money.
No, not that
It was
day.
just incidental.
Yeah.
Oh, and you happen to have $500 in cash in your pocket.
No.
You said you gave him the $500.
Not that day. No, I gave
What
him
day
that
are we
money
talking
June
about?
early.
What day are we talking about? I'm talking about payment. Do you understand that's what we're talking about?
Yes.
And
Payment
you told
was
me
in
that
early
you paid him
June.
twice. I said, when did you pay it? Give me the circumstances. Were you over his house? Yeah. All right, I paid him again. Boom. What were you doing over to the house then?
I wasn't
just
giving him
went to
any
get
money.
mail.
Yeah, I didn't pay him then.
Okay, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about the day in which you paid him.
Okay.
Where's R. Kelly when we need him? Lies! Oh, boy.
The claim for $3,000 is what?
For emotional distress.
How so?
He's
He gave me all that old dick for 4 months and then kicked me out.
out of a moving car.
But you went to jail. I'm concluding that your credibility is lost and you're dishonest. Your claim is dismissed. Yours is granted. Have a good day.
But anyway, brothers, that's basically it on that. Please understand that, when you deal with these women, especially when they get older, they've been through a lot of experiences with men to compound on top of the erroneous lessons that they've received from their aunties and their mother about relationships. So they're going to approach with a lot of chicanery, a lot of tricks in their bag. And that's why we have to be focused on the things that truly matter. That being our own elevation. The relationships that last are going to be with the women who are focused on building with you. They have to grasp that they're going to be riding shotgun, especially if you're a focused man. Women who want you to follow them, they really just want you to be like their little pet dog, their little accessory. It's going to be up to you if you want that. Some cats out there might want that, Simping is at an all-time high, so it's up to you. But in the case of the plaintiff, in this case, he created his own problems because the woman showed him what she was about from early. But you have a lot of old fools out here. So peace.